Good evening. So I slept for several hours because I haven't had enough time to sleep during the night, and I've eaten, and I was thinking of how to actually create the spider experiment. So I'll tell you what I thought about, and then I'll elaborate on the theoretical question. So first of all, any new experiment is something that you need to think about, like especially both for the some symbolic aspects, and also like the practical aspects of how you're going to do it. Because a lot of what I do with the neurons, like the nanobots, is just common sense. Of course you have like physics. You should understand like the basics of physics, even though they physics as like humans know physics. I do not apply to the things that the neos do, obviously, because their understanding of physics is much better than humanity's understanding of physics. That is obvious, but still, you need to have the basic concept of energy, matter, like mass, electricity, and you also need to understand this party understand the symbolic language, but there is also the issue of practical stuff. How do you actually if it's not practical, it's not going to work. For example, it's not practical. It could be said that it's it could be said that it's obvious, but still I'm happy that I had this glass, the glass with this very strong transformer. It was predictable that so much foam will be created, and that in such it's like a volcano that's keep erupting. So it's predictable that worms will not be able to actually create it in that, because we know from the past that the way that they are from previous experiment that they are created by and this you could argue that this is also obvious, but when you're dealing with such creatures that are so alien and possess such advanced technology, nothing is completely obvious. But it was demonstrated that the way that they created the worms is it starts from something that is it emerges from the liquid. So it starts with something that is very thin and very very delicate and gentle, and it's after an hour or 2 hours, 3 hours, and definitely after 3 hours the gentle material becomes more and more thick until it's actually solid, and it can exist outside the charged water, and also even walk by itself, move by itself. So in such conditions, it's of course how can water be materialized, the liquid be materialized when it's keep erupting like a volcano. So I thought about from both symbolic aspects, but also from common sense and practical aspect. I thought what would be the best way to create our 8-legged creatures. And in a second I will the second issue is what exactly will be created. I think will be created, or expect to be created. But let's say I want to create 8-legged creatures. So I will need to. So my idea now is that I will actually do it with 2 containers. The first one we create will be I'll use a mixture that is as much as possible similar to the mixture that I used yesterday for the successful worm experiment, which is my proven very proven to work mixture to creating small life forms. But I will not use this glass because it is more it fits more for it's more suitable for worms. I will actually use this one. I will move it to another. I don't have many containers. I really need more containers, but I will use this one because it's more shallow and more fit for. And also I will create 2 relatively small sculptures of 8-legged creatures that will also it will also be the at least one leg of each creature will actually touch the water. The rest will hover above. In a similar way that how like the rods hover above like in normal electrolysis. So one leg of each creature will one will be the positive creature and the second will be the neutral creature. Like and that's how all the electrolysis will actually happen, and we'll also have like the 8-legged monsters. And again, the mixture we have used will be just pea and cement and also normal like things that are not from the very rich mixture that we've used in these two that came from the electrolysis chamber. Now for the second one, it will be more ambitious, and it will actually I will try to utilize all sort of things that I've learned, like about like creation of stuff, but also I'll try to like incorporate practical consideration and like common sense considerations, but also also a little bit of like, I would say, artistic flavor, which sometimes is also helpful, because in some ways, we deal with it's a form of art, like the art of creation, and form like something between art and craft and science. It's like it's got all of them together. So what I will use actually for the second container, which will be much more impressive, is that container. This one is the upper containers from the energy transform experiment. As I said earlier, we still need to actually take samples from it, because it's interesting to see what's like evolved inside, because it was actually part of the experiment for like more than 24 hours after we've checked. So it's interesting to see what's inside. This one is characterized by being like very large container, which is good if you want to have like large symbols, and I do. My plan is to have like two very large, like relatively very large symbols. I'll probably not be able to actually close the container, but I will cover it with the cover. The top cover will be made of piece of like cloth, because I probably will not be able to cover it with plastic. I'll say that I still, the issue of pressure is still an open question. I addressed it in the past, like what the optimal pressure for all sort of like works of the neos, and I still don't have any answer. Unfortunately, it's an important issue. Like and of course I cannot control pressure very much, but I can at least cover it with like with airtight like in sellotape or nylon, as you've seen yesterday. They've done like after about an hour or so. If you do it just just when you start the electrolysis, what happens is that the nylon is covered with like humidity, so it's not good. You don't want you want it to be like transparent. It's very important to be transparent, so they will see what's above it, because above it typically you put another thing, like for example with the brown like thick paper in that case. So you need at the beginning it better be open, but after that I'm not sure. It's related to the issue of pressure, and it's just one of the many open questions. It's possible that they need to work in different pressures for different projects. Maybe to create, in order to create like diamond rings, they need like very high pressure of the type that I've never actually supplied them. But maybe for other stuff, for like living things, they don't need like high pressure at all. Who knows? It's a question. So anyway, I will probably have like very large, like 8-legged creatures. And I will use this one, which is characterized by very little, very thin layer like of actually Neros, but they are much more concentrated than the ones that we used, like the normal ones that I used until now, like that one, because it's from the aquarium. So there will be enough Neros for certain. We'll check it before, for reference, but for certain there will be enough Neros, unless something unpredictable happens. But the assumption is that there are a ton of Neros here, but not a lot of material, and not a lot of liquid, and it's barely like covers like the floor. So maybe I'll add just a little bit of like of purified water, like just really little bit, because my aim is that, and also I will place like a little bit of like dirt or a little bit of like grounded clay that I have. I want this to be, to simulate like the the tidal pools that many I've mentioned them in the past, the issue of tidal pools. Many people many like human researchers think that the like life, like the origin of life is closely related to the issue of the tides, like that are of course that are caused by the presence of a very big moon that surrounds the Earth. And people think that the first life forms, like the first unicellular creatures, actually emerged in these tidal pools that are. I don't remember like the complete explanation, but this will be like a tidal pool, which is characterized by being like shallow with all sort of so we'll also put like the 8-legged creatures on it. There will be like a relatively big one, and they will touch the ground. And this is something quite new, because it will mean that electrolysis will be not hovering over the water as normally is always done, like that it just touches the water, but it will actually touch the ground. So it will still be conductive, because there will be a very thin layer of liquid, but it will be but we will not see the issues like with the foam, because like that we've seen so many times, because there will just not be enough material. There will be very, very small amount of material, and like 16 rods that are connected, like 8 rods that are connected to the positive wire, and 8 for the neutral one, and so there should be like connectivity, or at least potential connectivity, all over the place, but with very thin layer of liquid, and also a presence of dirt and clay, to make it more drier than even drier than it is now, and it's already quite dry. And another thing that characterizes this mixture, which is different than than how I tried to create life until now. It's substantially different. Is that until now, I always, like in all my experiment of creation of life forms, I have used sterile mixture. And actually, it was very important that it will be sterile. But here, this is the completely. This is the complete opposite. There should be ton of like huge life form, and we'll check it. We'll check it out. Soon under the microscope. But we've already seen that this. It came from the aquarium, and it also and it had like 48 hours, 58 hours, or 50 or so hours of with the enlargement symbol that perhaps is applied only to the neurons inside, but perhaps applies to everything. Oopsie, I did a thing, and we need to see how, if they actually grew, and it's suspected they are, because we've seen two slides under the microscope, and we've seen quite big monsters over there. So it should be very interesting, but at minimum there should be a lot of normal mutated biological life forms and synthetic germs of the garden variety that we are already aware of, and came to we were so fond of, and we came to to be very supportive of their existence, and I would say coexistence with us, coexistence with aliens. So it will be a very rich biological ground. Both with normal germs, also mutated giant germs, and also synthetic germs. So it will be very, very a lot of life, a lot of happiness, and tons of neurons, and presumably out of this ground we will see the emergence of 8-legged creatures. Now another thing that should be said, that is that the fact that it's so shallow would be, I think, perhaps helpful to create sustainable life forms, because the problem with creating big life forms in a jar, as you've seen, is that it's very hard to overcome the initial phase where when the worm, until now it was only worms that are so delicate, and they just dissolve in the water due to any mechanical thing, that kinetic energy that is passed by the electrolysis or any other things, and And I think that maybe perhaps, I mean, if it will be like a much more like stable ground, it will be much easier to overcome like the initial phase where, I mean, out of the liquid, I mean, something like solid actually emerges. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, the hypothesis is that it will be easier like to overcome the first stage, which is so volatile that, I mean, to create like solid living creatures. Now, there is now the second issue is a theoretical question. I mean, okay, 8-legged creatures, but what exactly do I mean by that? I mean, do I want like spider, and what kind of spider? But maybe I want a squid. I mean, this is like maybe perhaps like arguably aquatic environments, or maybe we want like shrimps. I mean, like calamari, I guess. So, like, do I want the Neros to create calamari, or do I want to create spider? Or maybe maybe, I mean, after the Neros are so used to all the life forms that they can be found in this mixture, maybe they, I mean, when you, the 8-legged life form that they are most acquainted with is something like from the microscopic world. I don't know. Maybe there's all sorts of like germs that, I mean, that have like 8 legs. I don't know. We've seen like something that looks like a giant squid, like in one of the colossal squid, like in like microscopic colossal squid in one of the earlier slides. By the way, the term colossal squid is actually interesting because colossal comes from the word colossus. And so colossal squid is exactly what I want to actually create here, because it will be like a squid, like 8-legged creature that stands like a colossus above the bay, above the shallow water ocean, like the original colossus from Rhodes. So we'll have actually 2 of them, like 2 colossus squids, not colossal squid, but colossuses that are also squids. So I mean, what do I mean by 8-legged creature? So the answer is that I don't mean anything. I mean, I don't need to give like the Neros the exact life form with a specific DNA and like the Latin name they gave by Linnaeus, or it is used today by like in academic circles. They don't work this way. They do not replicate stuff, so they don't need to get like the specific thing. I mean, they are part of this the process. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they will. I mean, they have memory. They have like experience. They certainly met 8-legged creatures of all sorts of kinds. Maybe even not on Earth. Who knows? Maybe just here in this life, like this pool. So they will understand that I want 8-legged creatures by the fact that it's like hovering above them, like in the symbolic way. Although that electricity runs through it, and they will. I mean, hopefully they will use their imagination, and they will use. I mean, they're surviving the environment, like, I mean, whatever they see in their environment and whatever they can deduce from the symbolic language and whatever like material inside them. And hopefully they will, I mean, maybe they will surprise us and will create like 8-legged creatures that is neither squid nor like a spider, but maybe something completely alien. And I mean, let's be open to strangers, like to new, like, we shouldn't like close our doors to any phenomenon that we just not yet know, or that we're not acquainted with. So I think it's best just, I mean, to just, I mean, keep like our like open mind, like our mind open, like, and also keep our hearts open to new kind of like life forms, and you know, after the initial period of like perhaps like suspicion, or I don't know, perhaps like fear. I mean, many times you actually, I mean, you discover that the strangers are very nice, and they can teach you a lot about all sort of like, and they have their own experiences, and like, and maybe they can teach us all sort of very interesting stuff, and maybe they will even find that Earth is a very hospitable place for them. So, what I want to say is that, I mean, we don't need to answer like rigorously all these questions. We just need to come with an open mind and like be optimistic about what's going to happen. So that's the plan, and update you later, of course.